Queen Elizabeth's life exemplified an unwavering dedication to duty and a steadfast commitment to her nation from the moment she ascended the throne at the age of 25 until her passing in 2022. Throughout her long and illustrious reign, she stood as a pillar of continuity and stability for both the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth of Nations. Yet, it was a heartfelt revelation by her daughter, Princess Anne, that cast new light on the final chapter of the Queen's life, offering an intimate glimpse into the humanity of a monarch renowned for her dignity and perseverance during the most challenging of times. Born in 1926 as Elizabeth Alexander Mary Windsor, the future queen was nurtured in an environment steeped in tradition and regal expectation. As the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York, who later became King George VI and Queen Elizabeth respectively, young Elizabeth experienced a childhood that was, for the most part, peaceful and filled with promise. However, in 1936, her destiny took an unforeseen turn when her uncle, King Edward VIII, abdicated the throne. This dramatic event led to her father's ascension to the crown and placed Elizabeth directly in the line of succession. Though the notion of becoming a sovereign had never been part of her youthful imaginings, by the time she had reached the age of 10, the heavy mantle of future responsibility had been firmly placed upon her shoulders. The outbreak of the Second World War brought with it a new dimension of obligation for the young princess. Amid the global turmoil, she took it upon herself to serve her country by volunteering with the Auxiliary Territorial Service, where she received training as both a driver and a mechanic. This formative experience instilled in her a deep sense of duty that would characterize her reign for decades to come. At the age of 21, she entered into a marital union with Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark, and together they were blessed with 4 children: Charles, Anne, Andrew, and Edward. In this way, her personal life became as intertwined with public service as her official role, exemplifying the balance of family devotion and national commitment. Queen Elizabeth's formal reign began on the 6th day of February in 1952, following the sudden demise of her father, King George VI. At that time, while she was on a royal tour of Kenya accompanied by Prince Philip, the news of her father's passing marked the beginning of a reign that would eventually span an astonishing 7 decades. This remarkable longevity made her reign one of the longest in recorded history. Throughout those many years, Queen Elizabeth was consistently viewed as the embodiment of grace, strength, and unwavering commitment. Whether she was addressing the intricate political challenges of the Cold War, overseeing the gradual modernization of the monarchy, or confronting personal family tragedies, she maintained a calm and dignified presence that resonated with her subjects both at home and abroad. Behind the public image of a devoted and resolute monarch lay a woman who was first and foremost a mother, a wife, and a grandmother. Her relationship with her children, most notably with her only daughter, Princess Anne, was built on mutual respect, love, and understanding. Princess Anne, known for her pragmatic nature and straightforward approach to life, grew up under the ever-watchful eyes of the public and media. Yet the bond she shared with her mother was both unique and deeply affectionate. This connection, nurtured through years of shared experiences and personal sacrifice, provided both mother and daughter with the strength needed to navigate the complexities of royal life. As the years advanced, Queen Elizabeth's health gradually began to decline. Even so, she persisted in carrying out her royal duties with the same resolve and commitment that had defined her entire reign. In her later years, despite the evident signs of aging, she continued to attend meetings with government officials, review critical state documents, and partake in ceremonial events. Every morning, an iconic red box containing important papers was delivered to her bedside, a constant reminder of the responsibilities that she carried with remarkable poise and dedication. In these final months, the Queen's resilience and determination to fulfill her role never wavered, even as the physical toll of time became more apparent. It was during this period of waning health that a particularly poignant conversation unfolded between Queen Elizabeth and her daughter, Princess Anne. In a moment of deep vulnerability, the Queen confided her concerns regarding the potential complications that might arise if she were to pass away in Scotland, specifically at Balmoral Castle, where she had chosen to spend her final days. For Queen Elizabeth, Balmoral was far more than a stately retreat. It was a cherished haven, a sanctuary where she could escape the pressures of public life and reconnect with nature. The sweeping landscapes, the serene beauty of the Scottish Highlands, and the tranquility of the estate had long provided her with a sense of peace and solace that was unattainable elsewhere. As her health steadily deteriorated, the Queen's anxiety grew over the logistical challenges that her passing might impose on her family, her staff, and her nation. With a heavy heart, she admitted to Princess Anne that her death in Scotland could potentially create significant complications for everyone concerned. This admission was not an expression of self-pity, but rather a manifestation of the selfless nature that had defined her entire life. In her concern, Queen Elizabeth was thinking of the burden that her demise might place on others, even in her final moments. In response, Princess Anne offered her mother gentle reassurance, urging her to follow her heart and do as she wished without undue worry about the consequences. A final act of love that allowed the Queen to release some of the burdens of her royal responsibilities. This tender exchange between mother and daughter revealed the deeply human side of a sovereign who had long been perceived as an almost untouchable figure of authority. Queen Elizabeth's decision to remain at Balmoral, despite her expressed apprehensions, was a profoundly personal choice, a reflection of her unwavering connection to a place that held the sweetest memories of family, nature, and quiet contemplation. For her, Balmoral was a repository of countless joyful moments, a place where she had spent many leisurely hours with her children, teaching them to appreciate the natural world, and where she could momentarily set aside the formalities of royal life in favor of genuine human interaction. In the wake of her passing on the 8th day of September in 2022, the world was plunged into collective mourning for a queen who had become an enduring symbol of duty, resilience, and grace. In strict accordance with a meticulously planned contingency known as Operation Unicorn, a protocol designed for the eventual demise of a monarch in Scotland, her body was solemnly transported to the city of Edinburgh. There, she lay in state, allowing the people of Scotland to pay their final respects before her remains were conveyed to London for a state funeral. Despite the considerable challenges inherent in orchestrating such a complex series of events, every detail was managed with the same precision, dignity, and professionalism that had characterized her reign. Beyond the solemn proceedings that followed her death, Queen Elizabeth's enduring influence resonated deeply with millions around the globe. Her leadership, marked by an unswerving dedication to duty and an ability to remain composed under pressure, instilled in her subjects a sense of stability during both times of adversity and prosperity. Historians and political analysts have long noted that her capacity to navigate the rapidly changing landscape of modern statecraft, while simultaneously upholding time-honored traditions, was nothing short of extraordinary. In this way, her reign left an indelible mark not only on the history of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, but also on the hearts and minds of people worldwide. Furthermore, the personal qualities of Queen Elizabeth, so poignantly revealed in her final days, continue to serve as a reminder of the intimate and human aspects of leadership. Even as she bore the immense responsibilities of her office, she remained deeply attuned to the needs and well-being of those around her. Her legacy is defined not solely by the monumental events of her reign, but also by the small acts of kindness and humility that endeared her to her staff and her subjects alike. The balance between her public duties and private devotion underscores the truth that even the most exalted individuals are, at their core, human beings driven by compassion and empathy. In reflecting on the events that marked her final months, it becomes clear that Queen Elizabeth's concerns were both practical and profoundly symbolic. By voicing her worries about the potential complications of her passing in a place so dear to her heart, she highlighted the interconnected nature of personal sacrifice and public responsibility. Her willingness to prioritize the impact on her family, her staff, and her nation over her own personal comfort reveals a level of selflessness that is rarely witnessed in figures of her stature. The Queen's final words and actions have sparked discussions among scholars, commentators, and the general public alike about the true nature of leadership and the enduring power of empathy. Her legacy is a rich tapestry woven from grand historical achievements, as well as the quiet, often unnoticed, moments of human connection. In the final analysis, the life of Queen Elizabeth serves as a compelling reminder that true greatness is measured not only by the longevity of one's reign or the splendor of ceremonial traditions, but by the depth of one's commitment to the well-being of others. Even in her last moments, when she could have succumbed to the weight of her own concerns, she continued to place the needs of her family, her staff, and her nation above her own. Her final wish, to alleviate the burden that her passing might impose on those who loved and served her, was a profound testament to the selfless spirit that defined her entire existence. As we remember her remarkable journey, from a young princess unexpectedly thrust into a life of duty to a sovereign who reigned for 7 long decades, we are reminded that the truest measure of leadership lies in one's capacity to care deeply for others, even when faced with the inevitability of one's own mortality.